Today in the crypto space, we see the market still looking a bit strong. Bitcoin right around the $106,000, Ethereum right around that $4,000 mark, and the rest of the crypto space, these altcoins pretty much going sideways. We have a few dips here and there, but we also have some good gainers like XRP, BGB, CRO, and a few others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project that is definitely looking for some bullishness, and that project is called AVALANCHE. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 PM EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on with this market. We do see that the market is being driven right now by Bitcoin. Bitcoin keeps on pushing for higher levels. In the last 7 days, Bitcoin is up 10.7%. Beastly. At the end of the day, if you start looking at the market cap, it's right around $3.9 trillion. We peaked at a little bit higher than that, and so far we've been a bit hesitant, down approximately 2.2%. The important thing here is to track volume, because as we see the market cap rise, we are also seeing that the market in general is the volume is diminishing. The market participation is not there. Right into this zone, we did get a spike of volume to the upside, fine, and that's how we saw the market cap rise once again. But currently, as it's continuing to rise, we're seeing that the volume continues to dip. So this is a bit of an issue, guys, because the overall market cap is running upwards with a lack of volume, which leaves me to believe that this rise in market cap is not going to be sustainable unless we get market participation back in here with good volume. So what am I doing here, guys? I'm being very critical of the market, and I'm being very I'm being prepared, because ultimately at any moment, if Bitcoin hits some resistance without the lack of market participation, we could see a bigger rejection than expected. And of course, a 20% dip is something that is absolutely normal, even in a bull run. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand, is particularly if this is their first cycle. And sometimes, to be honest, even their second cycle, some people don't even really get it, that pullbacks and invalidations of bullish thesis do happen. And we need to be prepared, and we need to be always considerate of those invalidations of the bullish thesis, just in case. Why? Because that is going to be, or those are, the opportunities that make life-changing gains to be made. Okay, that's the opportunity. You buy the dip hard as possible on those events when we do have those retracements back to levels of support. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be looking at for the next little while, because so far I only been trading the shorter term time frames and moving to the upside with the market. However, as soon as we get that dip, guys, I'm going to be buying and accumulating spot bags and margin positions like I've never done before, obviously for a continuation to the upside. Bitcoin obviously grinding nicely. Ethereum is showing a sense of divergence at resistance. It's down 3% for the day. I'm not liking the way Ethereum looks. Look, Ethereum could continue running. We all want Ethereum to show strength here, but ultimately, unless it really does by breaking out of the previous highs, guys, Ethereum at resistance and looking the way it does, maybe a short-term pullback, maybe a bull flag, maybe some sort of structure gets played out here for a continuation to the upside eventually. But at the current moment, Ethereum at resistance, looking the way it does, it's not keeping me really happy here. We do see XRP showing a bit of strength here, 5.6% to the upside. Congrats to all those XRP holders, because ultimately XRP has been doing pretty good. Don't knock it. XRP has been doing great. And we see Solana waking up a little bit, and many others. However, as we keep on going down, we do see a lot of indecision, and in fact, we do see a lot of red, right? Even AVAX down a little bit, Chainlink down a little bit. We have a bit of red now. You know, ultimately, we're looking for a good level of a bottom. We're looking for good support zones to be scaling in with bigger positions, because of course, bigger positions means more risk. But if we're going to take risk here, we want to make sure that we get in from a position of strength rather than buying at the top and getting in from a position of weakness, which means that if we buy tops, we become exit liquidity, even if it's for a short-term dip. This is my major concern. We also have Near Protocol looking pretty good. We did talk about Near Protocol and AVAX entries on the Discord today. So if you're looking for a community to hang out with and, you know, navigate this market, join the Discord, guys. The link is in the description. It's absolutely free. And ultimately, the community is what makes it. The community is solid. So go check it out. What else do we have here? We have BGB looking strong once again. Once again, that's a good sign to see exchange tokens looking good. All of a sudden, we see VeChain showing a little bit of strength. What is going on with the Dino projects? The Boomer projects are doing great here and showing a lot of strength, right? It's fine because I'm a big holder on VeChain. I bought VeChain in the bear market bottom, and I held tight. I held patiently, and so far so good. I'm doing very well with VeChain. Monero woke up since the call of the sideways channel. It did pretty good. It's up 25% in the last little while. If you missed out on that call, guys, I actually used altfins to make that call. The altfins did a great job giving me the signal. If you want to know what altfins is, obviously join the live stream. We'll talk about altfins. It's an AI screener, guys. It's an AI screener that literally scrapes the market for setups, and it gives you a heads up of what you should be looking at in the immediate short term. I got links in the description if you're interested. If we keep on going down, you can see, generally speaking, that the market, you know, is not that decisive. Like, we see more dips than we do rallies. The little rallies that we do have are small in comparison to the actual dips that we have. For example, virtual, it ran up significantly, but it's down 16.5%. Now, is this just the beginning? Is this just the beginning for a further dip, right? And you guys know that I'm looking for some dips, and I did get a few dips. Look at what happened with Pudgy Penguins, guys. What an absolute dip. 53.8% crash to the downside. That is not a good look. You know, ultimately, we know that meme coins and all of this, they do have their moment, but coming out evaluated at a $2 billion market cap plus, you know, that's just you know, that's not safe whatsoever, guys. We got to be real. We got to be real. We're not at the peak of the bull run. This evaluation is crazy. Let's move on. What else do we have? Beam dripping down. You guys know that I want to, you know, essentially buy the dip heavy on Beam. I feel like I didn't get in heavy enough. Obviously, hindsight is always 20/20, but if I do get the opportunity, I will be spamming buy orders on Beam, and make sure you buy the right Beam, guys, right? Because it's important that you buy the rainbow, not the other. All right, guys, let's jump right into the charts. I know you're here to talk about charts as well, so let's take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to look at Bitcoin first, and then we're going to take a look at the project of today, which is Avalanche. At the meantime, you can see that Bitcoin is at a level. Guys, yesterday, you know, we saw Bitcoin run up a little bit more, and I thought, you know, what are the chances we go up even higher? Guys, there's still a chance that we run even higher, maybe to about 120. That's very possible. But as we keep on going up, the risk of getting into fresh longs on Bitcoin and many altcoins for that matter become increased, and you got to be prepared for any dips that are going to come. All right, guys, let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. What I mean here is that the reality is that nobody knows the future, and what we should do is prepare for what we know. What we do know for a fact is that we eventually correct. We do get dips, we get peaks and valleys. We don't know when, we don't know how, but eventually we do get them, and we know that because the market has proven that to us time after time after time. As soon as you feel like the market will never dip, that is usually when it does. So let's be clear about this. Ultimately, I'm noticing that there's a bit of a channel here happening. Now, if you get into lower time frames, we'll do that right now. You can see that, okay, we did form a nice little bottom here that we can kind of, you know, see some confluence, and a top with a bit of confluence here on the 4 hour, a nice upward sloping channel. And we got to be real also because, you know, channels to the upside eventually do break down bearish. Let's be real about that as well, because it's hard to sustain the trajectory to the upside without short-term corrections. But this whole setup that I did post here, I posted it on the Discord a few days back. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter when we hit the top. It doesn't matter even if we go higher. What matters is that we're prepared for the correction. wherever the correction is. Because ultimately, the correction could be down into here. We can go up higher and correct down to here. We could even correct back to the level where we are right now. The thing that you have to really, really wrap your mind around is risk to reward. If this happens in this level, at this level, when we backtest this zone, this is when you can get in with margin. This is where you can get in with leverage. This is where you can get in with bigger position size. This is where you can take more risk. And ultimately, you'll make up for this little move that you may have missed out on, that you thought you missed out on. Number one, did you take profit on this pump? Most people won't. They will endure the dip anyway. But what we have to understand is that if we do get this pullback from a risk to reward ratio opportunity, I will get in with bigger bags, with leverage, and make up for all the opportunity that quote unquote was lost. And I'll ultimately get back in to make it all back. And then some. So this is what you have to understand, is that taking risk at the right moment is the best idea. Now, what we're really going to do is be real about this for a second, and I'm going to bring it back to exactly the way it was, because I still feel that ultimately this top, based on the channel that I identified here, is still very, very viable, and to the point that we are respecting it as we speak. And I'm going to kind of just, make it look a little bit more in tune. And look, if we get rejected here, guys, it's totally fine. Totally fine. Rejected, come back, maybe get another fake up, maybe a bull trap, come down lower low. Maybe we do come down to 86, 87. Possible. Maybe we don't. Wherever this structure, this bottom structure is formed, whether it be up here, down here, maybe even down here, 77K. I know there's people that are going to totally say that it's not possible. That's when you get wrecked. When you think in certainties. There's no certainties here. When the market comes down, gives us evidence of support, wherever it is, we will be ready. If it comes down here, we're buying heavily. If it comes down here, we're buying heavily. If it even comes down here, I'm okay with that. We get a structure, I'm buying heavily, especially if we get oversold. I am buying heavily. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. We wait for the data. The data gives us a setup, and then we react. The only thing that I do know right now is if you look at momentum oscillators, everything is super frothy at the current moment here, as we see Bitcoin touching at about 108 at its peak. It's a lot, guys. It's very risky to get into fresh longs. However, we do see some altcoins that are ready for a rotation, to see some of the capital flow out of Bitcoin and get into some of the alts. The only problem that I have right now is that if Bitcoin takes a bigger correction than expected, we're not going to see that rotation until the market finds its bottom, until Bitcoin finds its bottom. And it could take some time before that happens. In the meantime, we'll see the altcoins currently that are still bleeding out. They're going to continue bleeding out. The reason why they're looking pretty red at the current moment is that Bitcoin is basically attracting all the liquidity because it's pushing up. But if Bitcoin gets rejected with some aggression, altcoins will take a beating as well, but altcoins will recover a lot better when Bitcoin finds its bottom. Now, the question, where is Bitcoin? Could it find its bottom? Maybe on the heart line? Sure. Maybe at the bottom of the range? Possible. Maybe all the way down to $87,000, which for me would be a 0.38 retracement based on Fibonacci theory. If you take the swing low, all the way from the absolute bottom, from this entire pump, we take this low, and we take it all the way to the top, which is where we are right now, hypothetically speaking. Let's say that's where we stop. We're coming down to the 0.382, which is at about $88,000 to $87,000. 0.382 Fibonacci is considered a healthy breather, including the 0.236. The 0.23 is also a good level for a healthy breather. It doesn't mean a complete retracement. Below the 0.5 Fibonacci, it starts to define retracement levels. Golden pocket, 786, 886. Guys, we're not even there yet. Okay, we do have the golden pocket that is very confluent with the breakout zone. Okay, look at that. Lots of confluence. Do I think it's going to come down there? I think it's very unlikely. However, the 87,000 is a lot more likely. And if it does happen, what are you going to do about it? If we get down here, what are you going to do about it as a trader? If you are not prepared for that, you're doing the wrong thing, right? Because you're not prepared for the best opportunity that you may get for the remainder of this bull run. So it doesn't mean that you have to reserve a ton of capital, but just have some, or have a plan to how you're going to raise capital if we do come down there, and be able to react swiftly, quickly, because ultimately it's not going to last long, in my opinion. Which altcoins will you be buying if Bitcoin comes down to 87,000, 86,000? Which alts? Obviously, today we're going to be taking a look at AVAX, so let's do that. So AVAX is a beast, guys. AVAX was a beast today. We were talking about AVAX on the Discord, and I got into a bit of a long setup. I'm not sure if I got stopped out already, but I'm trading the lower time frames, guys. Why? Because the reality is my bags are packed, like really packed. I bought AVAX down here. And just saying, I'm only telling you this because you have to get into the sentiment of the market. There's people that bought all the way down here, including myself. So what does that mean? Is that as we go higher, your biggest fear is people down here treating you as exit liquidity. That's what you have to think about. How many people are going to use me as exit liquidity? The reality is that there's a lot of volume over here, and people will use you as exit liquidity. Look at this dip. Beautiful dip. We identified this dip accurately, perfectly. I couldn't have emphasized the importance of this accumulation phase anymore. Inverse head and shoulders, green arrows, thick yellow line, yellow box. I ran out of indicators to tell you guys to buy, and I have the videos to prove it. Go check them out. Ultimately, at this moment, things get a little bit hectic because what we are doing is expecting AVAX to break out of the previous high. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that it's not going to do it. It will do it eventually. The question is when. The question is, do we retrace here, maybe go sideways, touching about $43.50 until we start really doing that? Do we create a nice, beautiful cup and handle into this level to pick up enough bullish bids within the consolidation before we start really expanding to the upside? These are great questions, and the reality is, if you're prepared for it, you might be able to take full advantage. I'm not buying spot because I bought down here, but I will entertain some longs to the upside upon structure. So what I did today, before we get into lower time frames, just keep in mind that we got overbought already. Just keep in mind that the momentum is trending to the downside. Just keep in mind that the EMAs and the red histogram bars and the expansions are looking really frothy with bearish divergence. Everything about the momentum and the trend oscillator is looking bearish. Guys, if you want to know more about Synergy Signal, which is the oscillators that you see here, the indicators that you see here, check out the links in the description, guys. It's been killing it. This overall, this indicator has been doing a great job navigating these markets. Okay, so check it out. But really, because everything's so overbought this way, am I going to get into long-term spot positions right now from a position of weakness where everything is really up there? There's a long way down, guys. We can come down to about $36 at the next level of support, this node of support. I'm not willing to take that chance. So what I am willing to do is understand that the market is still bullish in the immediate short term and quickly get onto lower time frames. And you can see that I identified this nice structure today where I got into a long position on these bottoms. I waited patiently for the price to come down to these wicks, and I entered absolutely at the bottom. And so far, so good. I didn't get stopped out. I do see the possibility of that happening, but guess what? I put myself at break even, and I'll have nothing to worry about, right? Ultimately, if it bounces, great. If it doesn't, stop me out. I'll get back in at another level of support, wherever that case may be. Ultimately, I'm worried about this volume gap that could take the price down to about 45.80, maybe a little bit lower if it hunts a bit of this liquidity, 45.30. But reality is, I like the risk reward for a long, considering that the daily is looking good still, right? The daily is looking good because ultimately we are on overbought conditions and we could go for another little pop to the upside. The 4-hour is also looking even better in the sense that, I'll show you what I mean. We got oversold, and we're hesitating here maybe to get overbought. So although the daily's really frothy and it's still quite bullish, right, because it's up there and it's overbought, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go in and expect another 200-300% to the upside. What I'm going to expect is maybe the 4-hour, the 1-hour getting a nice pop to the upside and maybe retesting previous highs again. And that's when I will take profit. As you can see, this setup, the ratio is almost 6-to-1. Okay, this is a great ratio, 6-to-1 ratio. You get in with a bit of leverage. Obviously, I'm not promoting leverage, but guys, if you want to get it onto an exchange, Mexi has every single trading pair that you can think of, and it's no KYC. I have a link in the description, of course, for that one. But Blowfin, honestly, no KYC. It is a growing exchange, lots of trading pairs, lots of transparency as far as the reserves go. Again, links in the description, guys. If you're looking for an exchange and you want to support the channel, check out those links. I think those are the best exchanges currently out there on the market. All right, so looking pretty good. Ultimately, short-term trades only for me for AVAX. Long-term positions, look, you're taking a risk getting into a long-term position unless we build a bigger structure on the daily. So what I mean by that is get rid of these oscillators. We need to see the momentum reset a little bit, and I would start to get interested if we see a beautiful flag. Let me get rid of this setup here. If we see a nice flag right here, then I'm more interested, and I'll show you why. Because of that cup and handle that we talked about earlier on the daily. Let's flag out here. Let's flag out here. And in the meantime, we might see that reset. Look at this volume, guys. Look at the volume right here. You can't deny that that's absolutely great. All this volume in here. We're just taking a short-term break to offload some of those short-term traders that are taking profit. Profit taking is totally fine, but just understand that the momentum is in our favor, and maybe after a bull flag, a nice consolidation, we might be able to continue to the upside with some strength because we're picking up bullish bids at the bottom of the structure and offloading short-term traders at the top. And then we continue to the upside when it's done. When distribution is over, when the sell-off is over, we're done and we continue to the upside. So far, AVAX is looking great for continuation. But again, wait for the daily to give you structure. And in the meantime, trade the lower time frames. And this theory applies to many projects, Near Protocol and many others, ultimately looking pretty bullish. But do we have enough evidence that it's going to happen right now? That's my major concern. So again, looking at the weekly, AVAX looking great. You can see everything's looking pretty good, even oscillator-wise, looking pretty good. Maybe we stay overbought for another little bit more. Obviously, in a bull run, we stay overbought more often than not. And then back to the daily, you can see that things are looking great, okay, for AVAX. I think AVAX is going to have a great bull run, but we need to make sure that our entries are safe and that we respect the TA. Again, lower time frames. Look at this little trend that we got going on. Look at this scenario. A break of this, pop to the upside, get in, get out. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join that Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.